Have you ever wondered what you need to do if a rooster hatches an egg, which is then incubated by a toad, and a mutant chicken-serpent dragon bat hatches and threatens the very existence of your entire community?
Today we're going to talk about the cockatrice, a creature so feared by medieval people that the very whisper of its name would empty out villages. We're going to learn about their crazy powers, how they can be defeated, and two stories from villagers that claim that they faced a cockatrice themselves and defeated them.
So imagine waking one morning to find that every chicken in your village is dead. One by one, the cattle begin collapsing, and nobody dares go near the old well anymore. Because somewhere beneath the hedgerows, something hatched. So the folklore tales say that an old rooster could occasionally lay an egg. It was tiny and yolkless, and if that egg was incubated by a toad or a serpent, it hatched into a cockatrice.
So I have some immediate questions about this. First, I want to know how a rooster lays an egg, but I don't want that on my search history.
So what is a cockatrice? It can get mixed up with a basilisk or a wyvern or even a dragon. It's basically a serpent crossed with a chicken. It's got the rooster's head, scales and a long serpent tail, and wings that are described either like dragon or bat-like. And before you laugh, you have to remember that people in medieval times weren't stupid. They lived in a world where strange births, disease, and unexplained deaths happened all the time. If somebody found a bizarre-looking egg, it's not hard to imagine rumours beginning to spread.
But how does this strange-looking chicken inspire such fear into an entire community?
Why was everyone afraid? This was no ordinary chicken crossed with a serpent, dragon, and/or bat. Its powers include killing with a glance. If you met its gaze, you would turn to stone immediately, meaning that you have to fight this creature without making eye contact. So you might be okay if you're an introvert. It also has poisonous breath, so if eye contact doesn't kill you, its breath might. And the cockatrice is so toxic that it could easily kill people without even touching them. It also made it a nightmare for farmers. Apart from the obvious murder of all the townsfolk, it would turn grass brown and leave the land barren. It would kill livestock if they came too close. It could also poison water supplies, so streams, ponds, wells, and this made it a threat to the whole community. Just hearing that there was a cockatrice in the area was enough to empty a village. Honestly, the cockatrice is basically medieval biological warfare with feathers.
Which I think raises another question. If this thing can really kill with just a glance, how are you meant to defeat this?
Imagine you have a cockatrice at large in your village. What tools should you have at your disposal? A well-known weakness is a mirror. The cockatrice would look at itself and die. I sometimes feel the same way when I look at myself in the mirror first thing in the morning, but apparently the cockatrice, seeing its own reflection in a mirror, would cause its deadly power to rebound back on itself, making it a very useful tool to have when facing a cockatrice. Next up on your packing list is a weasel. For reasons nobody quite understood, weasels are believed to be immune to the powers of a cockatrice, leaving them free to attack it. This is my favourite solution. If you've got a problem, just chuck a weasel at it. It's very British. And finally, the strangest weakness of them all. It wasn't a monster or a magical sword. It was a rooster. The cockatrice apparently can't survive hearing a rooster crow, which I think is odd considering its dad was supposedly a rooster. The powers are quite interesting to me. What I love about the cockatrice is that it wasn't just a monster. It represented almost everything medieval people were afraid of. The deadly gaze could represent sin, evil influence, the evil eye. Poisonous breath could be related to the fear of plague and disease. Killing crops and famine. Contaminated water and epidemics were a massive concern at that time. And the death of livestock could lead to the loss of wealth and survival in those times too. I think its ultimate creation shows the absolute importance of making sure you buy free-range chicken.
By the way, if you'd like this cockatrice hanging on your wall after the video, then please check out my shop in the link below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video.
So next, let's explore some of the British folklore stories about the cockatrice. We'll start with the Wherwell Cockatrice. This tale is from Hampshire, my county. Whoop whoop! This cockatrice was said to live in the cellar under Wherwell Abbey, which is now known as Wherwell Priory. Imagine being a villager and walking past that abbey every day, knowing that there was a monster living directly beneath your feet. Some versions say it was first raised as a pet when it was all cute and tiny, but as it got bigger and more murdery, things got out of hand. That totally sounds like something I would do, to be honest. But people started disappearing in the village, and they knew they had to do something about this cockatrice. Many heroes tried to defeat it, but none of them could survive its deadly gaze. And then, as a classic twist to our folklore tale, along comes some ordinary guy, and he is known as Green. And Green decides to fight smarter, not harder. Green realizes that every person who has tried to fight this cockatrice has died. So instead of fighting the monster, he decides to trick it. He didn't use a sword, he used a mirror. He polishes a sheet of steel and lowers it into the cellar. I guess because it wasn't a proper mirror, it didn't kill the cockatrice immediately by its looking at its own reflection. But what it does do is make the cockatrice think there is another one of its kind down there with it. It starts fighting and attacking its own reflection, and after a while of this, it's eventually exhausted, and Green takes this opportunity to climb down into the cellar with a spear and finish it. And according to folklore, Green was awarded with 4 acres of land that is still there today, known as Green Acres in Harewood Forest. This village also really adopted the cockatrice tale, and for a while the local church sported a cockatrice weather vane, which is now in the Andover Museum. And the local school also has a cockatrice as its emblem. It's also said that some of the older residents of Wherwell even refused to eat duck eggs because of the legend. Nothing would stop me eating eggs though, definitely up there with my favourite foods.
But that's not even my favourite cockatrice story.
One of England's most famous cockatrice legends comes from a pamphlet written in 1669, but the story might be even older than that because a carved figure of the cockatrice was found in the area from around 1570. This cockatrice terrorised the local area. It left the land where it lived totally barren. It was killing people with its poisonous breath or deadly gaze. People were so terrified the town almost became completely deserted because so many people had died or just fled. This cockatrice was threatening the survival of the whole community. And in the stories, this terrifying beast was not dragon-sized, but only 1 foot long. So tiny, just the size of an angry goose. A wandering knight offers to help the village and try to defeat the cockatrice. Like Green, he realises facing it head-on won't be good enough, but he comes up with a different solution. Knowing his normal armour won't be helpful against the cockatrice, he wears an armour made of glass to reflect the image of the cockatrice back on itself, which has to be one of the coolest pieces of armour in British folklore, but I'm not really sure how he got it on time. That feels like it would be a custom-made order. But whilst looking shiny and fabulous, the hero defeats the cockatrice with its own reflection. The knight's sword was hung inside Walden church, which unfortunately has not survived the sands of time. So did medieval people really believe that giant chicken dragons were roaming around Britain? Maybe. But I think the cockatrice tells us something far more interesting. It shows us what frightened people hundreds of years ago. Disease, famine, poisoned water, strange things happening in nature, and perhaps that's why stories like this survive for so long. Because monsters are often just another way of explaining things that we don't understand.
So here's the print and the sticker made from the Cockatrice folktale. Please let me know what you think of this story and if you have any cool folklore stories from your local area. Otherwise, please don't forget to like and subscribe to check out the next video for this channel, and I'll see you there.
Secret Howl update. Let's see if Howl has a deadly glare like the cockatrice. Looks like he needs to recharge his powers.